Hello everyone and welcome back. This time we got General Liu with her badass mecha horse, so freaking awesome. And she is the Hydro savior we needed as Hydro started to fall off a little in recent times. Or is she? Do you actually need to pull her? Well, she does solidify Hydro as the full-on summon comp as we also get the Springfield expansion key and the summon weapon attachment set along with her release. But at the same time, it's kind of unfortunate timing for her to be released in global as AK-12 or Koleda got released in CN very recently that pretty much sets the Hydro team standard for future, which makes investing in Liushih kind of a hard decision right now. And that's what we need to look at with this review as we go through her kit, her gameplay style, vertebrae, weapons, keys, where she fits into the Hydro team, and what should be your genuine pull strategy for her. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, like always, quick TLDR first. Liushih is a Hydro element sniper rifle user DPS carry, and she is a summon focused damage dealer. She fights alongside her entity summon called Pegasus, the Robo Horse, and in this case her summon is the main damage dealer even more than Liushih herself. She is also the Hydro team's dedicated defense down debuffer, which is probably the biggest point to be honest. But the real mechanic for her is how her damage is calculated. Every attack she and Pegasus makes, they are called load attacks. That basically replaces the attack value entirely with 20% of her max HP in the damage formula. So this means she is fully an HP scaling unit. Any attack buffs or debuffs doesn't affect her or her summon's damage output at all. This does bring some issues. She is a pain to build properly right now. She requires a whole lot of investment requirements at base to be useful at all. Like first of all, since she scales on HP, you have to farm a new attachment set and that too for the new summon boost set. She doesn't really work with any other sets that you already have from before. That sucks. She wants a minimum of V1. Her V0 is very lackluster for a DPS. Then you also want her signature weapon because it's the only one that gives HP and works well for her. She has a hard requirement of 600 base attack value to unlock her passive's full damage multiplier. You don't need any more than 600, but you definitely want to hit that 600 mark. And it's not easy. Even with her fully upgraded with 60 remolding core, FXN 5, max neural helix and max dispatch room, you reach 584 base attack. To get that extra 16, you either have to oath her, which is pay to win, or you need to upgrade her attack from the new permanent stat boost foods from the new cooking system. The temporary daily buff foods from the old cooking doesn't help. You need the new permanent boosts. On top of all that, she definitely needs Springfield invested to at least V1 but ideally a V5 just to buff her HP high enough. So unless you are fully committed to Hydro and basically want to rebuild your entire comp for long term, it's not looking good, bro. And then there's the issue that we already got Koleda in CN who's quickly become the Hydro hyper carry. And if you want to play her, you definitely want to pull Mithil when she releases because those two go together. Where does this leave Liushih then? Well, she can enjoy being the Hydro hyper carry right now until Koleda comes, which I am assuming in 4-5 months maybe, but that's it. Her self-life really got cut short by Koleda. Well, right now a V1 R1 Liushih will straight up become your Hydro team's hyper carry, better than Tololo or even V6 Nikita. But like I said, it's short-lived since in the absolute latest CN meta, unfortunately even V1 R1 Liushih is not even in that team. You wanna know who can replace her? It's Tololo. Yes, after she got her mod key too, Tololo has become super good again and she is free. So this makes recommending Liushih even harder now. The only value left for her in the team is when you need that defense reduction from her. Unless you are like going for V6 Liushih. That's definitely for whales and you can rest assured she is not getting replaced at that level of investment. So the full recommendation for now is gonna be like this. If you don't have Springfield, skip. Get Springfield V1 first and then even think about it. If you already have Springfield and a Hydro team going, or you are definitely planning to build one, then it's time for decisions. Do you really want a hyper carry Hydro DPS right now until Koleda arrives? And can you invest more in her later, maybe on her rerun? Then she is absolutely worth prioritizing to V1 first, plus her signature right now and you can stop there. It will be very worth. Otherwise, if you have no interest in investing in Hydro or if you want to be the most efficient with least pool spent for best overall outcome, skip her. She will fall off a lot very soon if you can't invest more in her. Better keep saving for Altar Groza, she will be in the Hydro meta team, you bet. And lastly, if you are whaling, V6 Liushih will be a beast, no questions. And if you are just here for her designs and want her in your dorm, go get her V0 and be happy. What even is meta, am I right? Okay, that took a bit long, but now let's get into the skill kit. Good thing is that it's pretty simple. Let me start with her passive first. It summons Pegasus automatically at the start of battle, inheriting her base stats. For every 60 points of her own base attack, both Liushih and Pegasus' basic attack multiplier goes up 5%, capping at max plus 50%. And this is why you need to hit 600 base attack on her. That's the stat check I mentioned earlier. Before using her skill 1 or her ultimate, she also applies lock on to the target, which drops their defense by 30% specifically against hits from Liushih or from entity summons. And importantly, that benefits any friendly entity summons on the field, not just Pegasus. So things like Nikita's dog or Florence's bear also get to poke through that reduced defense. And whenever Pegasus fires his own passive attack, Liushih gets 1 confidence back, which feeds into her skill 1 as we will learn. We need to know what Pegasus does next. It has 2 passives. Gatling Cannon is its actual damage. It fires automatically off Liushih's active attacks while it's in combat state, dealing 110% load attack hydro damage, and it's also considered as a basic attack, so it can benefit from the passive multiplier boost, becoming 160% multiplier. Reminder that all attacks are load attacks. Even though I am saying attack and attack multiplier, that means it scales from that 20% of max HP. Actual attack value doesn't matter for damage calculation. And the second passive means it can't move on its own at all. The only way to reposition the horse is through Liushih's skill 2. And instead of dying to lethal damage, it drops into preparing state, where it can't attack, can't be targeted, and can't die while healing 30% max HP per round until you reactivate it. Just like Papasa's City Warden. Okay, now for Liushih's skills, let's go in the reverse order with her ultimate first. It deals a 90% loaded attack hydro damage hit in 9 tile range, and crucially is what actually puts Pegasus into joint ops state, basically meaning activates it. This is your very first thing to do in her whole rotation. Her skill 2 is a pure repositioning tool, no damage. It relocates Pegasus near her along a cross-shaped path and cancels whatever state it's in, whether that's joint ops or preparing, and grants her extra command afterward. At base, using this deactivates your horse, so you don't want to use this much. Best option is to use it right at the beginning of the battle to reach your desired positioning and then alt to activate it. Or in the specific case where Pegasus has somehow gone down and you want to reset before firing your ultimate again. Her skill 1 is another 90% loaded attack hit in 9 tile range, but it can only be used while Pegasus is in the combat state. It consumes her entire confidence index, and based on how many points she spends, both Liushih and Pegasus gain stacks of marksmanship, a stacking buff that boosts basic attack damage by 10% per stack. You really want to hit 6 confidence index every time, so you get the plus 60% multiplier from this, and you will need V1 to help you achieve that easily. After using this skill, she gains extra action, and since this skill itself is only a 1 turn cooldown, that extra action conveniently lets her use it again basically every single turn. Finally, her basic attack. It does hydro damage, and it also hits one enemy within 9 tiles for 90% loaded attack. But as we figured out by now, this multiplier will get plus 50% boost from her passive and plus 60% from the skill 1 stacks as well. With these stacks, both her and Pegasus' basic attacks are your main damage sources. Moving on to her Vertebrae levels, V0 is if you are simply waifu pulling her, but she becomes worth from V1. This is a really good jump for her value, because now Pegasus effectively fires 2 extra Gatling cannon triggers per turn, basically doubling its attack frequency. And each of those also refunds confidence, which was otherwise scarce. Since Pegasus does the bulk of her damage, this is a massive, pretty much mandatory upgrade. I do want to mention V2 here. It's not a damage breakpoint, but it's a utility spike. Her S2 no longer deactivates Pegasus when used, and it starts laying hydro tiles along its path. That's a big deal for the hydro team specifically, since neither Springfield nor Nikita can reliably apply hydro weakness every single turn on their own. Well, beyond this, you should pretty much just aim for V6. From V3 to V6, her total damage output steadily goes upwards, so at V6 it's big damage territory. As for her weapons, honestly we don't got good options. Her signature is close to essential and is recommended right with her V1. It's the only rifle that gives base HP stats, a hefty crit damage bonus, and a passive that boosts both her and her summon's hydro damage. At the end of her action, Pegasus also grabs a random buff for 2 turns, a nice bit of extra value. If you can manage it, this weapon is considered a big enough jump that it's worth prioritizing right after V1. The second best option is also unfortunately to pull her 4-star signature General Liu rifle. Decent HP stat, similar self and summon damage boost effect, and the same random end of turn summon buff, just at a smaller scale. For a full F2P route, Samosek holds up fine as a generic budget pick, you have no other choice. For her main attachment set, run the new summon boost set. There's no real competition for this slot, start farming right away. Substat priority starts with a hard stat check, get her to 600 base attack first. You can get to that without from attachments as I mentioned in the beginning. Once that 600 attack threshold is handled, prioritize HP percentage first, then flat HP, then crit rate and crit damage from the attachments. Target stat number should be 10k plus HP because that will translate to 20% of it, meaning 2k attack, but with Springfield doubling the max HP, it will be around 4k attack. Also about 70% crit rate and 175% crit damage. For her fixed keys, it's gonna be fixed key 1 mutual complementation to increase damage output, fixed key 2 distant precision to get the rest of the 30% crit rate, and fixed key 6 jumping at the call to gain confidence from other summon attacks than Pegasus. The case for common keys is a bit difficult since attack scaling keys are useless for her and you don't want to evolve and put HP stats on an otherwise good common key. So her own one is genuinely the best option available right now. Other good options are Peri and Misty common keys, although Misty key won't be effective for her summon. You definitely gotta upgrade her remolding code to 60 and suggested flowers are 2 Thronebreakers, 2 pinpoint specializations, 1 precision blow and 1 HP boost. Try to prioritize Hydro boost and Hydro smite substats as well. Team wise, Liushih definitely slots into the current standard Hydro lineup alongside Springfield, Tololo, Nikita and Florence. In this comp, even a V1 R1 Liushih will become your hyper carry. Springfield is genuinely mandatory here, her max HP buff is what makes Liushih's whole damage formula scale in the first place, and without her, Liushih's output falls off noticeably. If you want to play the Burn Hydro hybrid comp with her, you can just slot in V2 R1 Lorelei and Luis there to make that team. For the future Hydro comp, as I mentioned before, Koleda and Mytil are the duo core in CN right now. Of course Springfield is there and the last slot is gonna be Alter Groza. This is the meta Hydro comp where Koleda is your hyper carry at V6. You don't need Mytil high investment at all, V0 or V1 is gonna be enough. And Liushih becomes a sub DPS, mainly providing that defense down. But also like I said before, at this point if you are still using V1 R1 Liushih, she won't be doing much. And Tololo comes back into the meta with her mod key 2, making it a better choice than Liushih for F2Ps and low investors. Well, regardless if you are playing Liushih, her rotation is one of the simplest. Turn 1, if need be, use her skill 2 first to move to a good attack position, then fire her ultimate to bring Pegasus into combat mode. From there on, the loop is simple, just skill 1 into basic attack. Repeat this every turn. Once you are at V2, you can start using her skill 2 mid-fight as well to lay down Hydro tiles, and since now your horse doesn't deactivate either. So you can comfortably work it into your rotation every turn to keep the team's Hydro weakness uptime going without losing any tempo. She is a damage dealer and will be the hyper carry right now, so she goes at the very end of team rotation for the current team setup. In future CN team comp, the team order will look like this. Koleda needs to go first and always ending with Alter Groza. Alright, final verdict time. Liushih is simultaneously the best thing that's happened to the Hydro team in a while and one of the most demanding units to actually build properly right now. Not just because of her own vertebra and weapon, but because getting real value out of her means investing in Springfield, farming a whole separate attachment set, building a dedicated common key loadout, and reaching a hard 600 attack stat check on top of it. If you have zero interest in committing to the Hydro ecosystem right now, or if you are looking for long-term efficiency, you can genuinely just skip her, or at most grab V0 for collection purposes. But if you are dedicated to investing into the best possible meta Hydro team comp, I would suggest to get started with V1 Liushih right now and get her signature weapon thereafter. She will pull a lot of weight with that setup as your main DPS and you can invest more into her in future to make her much better. Beyond V1 is not necessary right now and you can save for others, but after Tololo gets her mod key 2, if you want to keep Liushih in the meta, you will need to reach higher dupes and the only recommendation upwards is V6. Most of her middle breakpoint slowly does build up her damage, so you can technically stop at say V3 or V5 etc, but Hey, in my opinion, if you are going above V1, you are going for V6. And that's the full breakdown on Liushih. Fascinating kit, I was looking forward to her and she is equal parts, finally a real hydro carry, and oh no, can I afford that much investment? But do let me know in the comments, are you committing to the full hydro investment for her, grabbing the practical V1R1, or sitting this one out and saving for Koleda or Ultra Groza instead? Drop your plans below. If this video helped, leave a like and subscribe, hit the hype button, join the channel membership or send a super thanks if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.